I'm Adam Susman, and today's great episode of Evergreen, we welcome on James Pantemis, Portland Timbers goalkeeper, who takes us through his grassroots journey through Canadian soccer all the way to the World Cup stage in 2022. Lots of interesting and funny stories ahead from James, a lot you don't know about him, from his family's restaurant in Montreal to how Thierry Henry shaped his game as a young goalkeeper. Let's jump into the episode. Evergreen Podcast with James Pantemis. Welcome. First off, welcome to Portland as well. You've been here for a little bit. How's it been so far?
Pretty good. Can't complain. I mean, the weather's nicer now, so it's a bit better, more enjoyable. I came in 4 months ago, January. Didn't really know what to expect, but loving it so far.
What was your living situation like early on?
Hectic. First of all, I landed during the snowstorm, so it was my first experience of what a Portland snowstorm would be like. And I'm coming from Montreal, so I'm used to snow up to here, so everybody's like, yeah, the city's gonna shut down. I'm like, what do you mean the city's gonna shut down? I've seen this, and I think we got this, and it really shut down the city. But in terms of living, I was in a hotel probably for a month and a half, spaced out, because then we traveled a little bit for preseason, Phoenix and then Palm Springs. But I landed January 7th, and I got my place February 19th. So it was just hotels, suitcase. I had 5 suitcases in the training facility, going in, taking clothes, because I rotating 5 outfits for a month, and that was it.
What do you do with all your Montreal gear when you join a new team?
It's funny because most of it's still at home in terms of training gear and stuff like that for the off season. You could just I usually take as much as I can because just makes me not wash as much when I go train and stuff like that. But leisure wear, I just either give it away to other people or my cousins or family. But I actually wore, because I flew back home a couple weeks ago and I didn't have many clothes there, and I wore my old Montreal pants, and I was just looking at the logo, I said, this is just weird.
No pictures, no pictures.
It just didn't feel right.
Let's go back to the beginning of Montreal. You started playing when you were 4. You became a goalie when you were about 9, 10. Was the goal scoring record not good enough for
No, the
kids?
goal scoring record was there. I was elite. It was just my cardio wasn't there. I had no desire to run whatsoever. And then the coach told me, James, you got to either give me a little bit more up front, running wise, or you're just gonna go on the bench. And then I said, I can't run. And then something happened in terms of no one wanted to go goalie, or the goalie was sick. I don't remember exactly what happened. He's you want to go in? I said, gets me on the field, why not? And that's it.
Who were some of the influential goalie figures in your life when you were in your teenage years?
I would say probably my dad, because he played soccer as well growing up, nothing professionally, but just, local with the team and with his local team. And then even when he was 40, he was playing in the over 40 leagues and all that. Then I would go watch, and even at halftime I'd go in nets, and his friends would shoot on me and stuff like that. We would do little drills in the basement where he'd throw all the cushions on the floor of the couch and throw the ball, and I'd just practice diving and landing and all that.
Obviously, you're very well versed with the Canadian youth national team. I was scrolling back to the beginning of your Instagram. I'm pretty good with American slang. You don't have to help me with this one. What does #NoFluff mean?
Oh, that was you know what? It's funny that you say that, because the person that came up with that was Rob Gale, and Rob Gale was one of my first coaches in the youth, and he kind of had painted a picture where the Canadians were obviously perceived as soft or too nice and very proper, and then we were playing against teams like Mexico or I think Croatia and all that, where they had more grit than us, and he just wanted we went through a little bit of a meeting where we draw things on the wall and say what do we want, people say we're this, and just what do we want our saying to be for the camp, or to make it seem like we're going to go in and just be stronger and just better than everybody else. And that just stuck out. I think one of the players said that, and he liked it, and we used it for the remainder of the camp.
How do you not get a big head as a 16, 17-year-old playing with the youth national team? If I was 16, 17, even at just the end of the bench on the youth national team, I'd be getting a little cocky.
My parents, for sure. My parents always humbled me. They would say like you said, I'd come back, we just played Italy, and then I'd have to come back and go to school or go to my local team. I wasn't at the academy at the time, at Montreal Impact Academy. I was still playing with my local amateur team on I don't know what, let's say Beaverton or something. I don't know if they have a team, or but I played for Lakeshore at the time, and they would be like, well, no, you're on the same boat as everybody here because you're still here. So yes, you could say I went and I played for Canada at a certain age, but at the end of the day, I always came back to where I was living and where I belonged at the time, and they made it clear that it could end at any time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, one injury, one bad performance, one coach that didn't like you, could be all done. So just enjoy the moment while it can, and then just be as nice as possible, because you never know who you meet or how long it could last.
You spent a lot of time in the kitchen growing up. I know your family owned a restaurant in Montreal.
Zero. Like, this is like my first time really having to fend and cook for myself here. But yeah, we have 2 restaurants in Montreal. Same restaurant, just 2 locations. I would just be in charge of like managing the floor. Like, I had nothing to do with the kitchen. Like, I would maybe look and make sure everybody was cooking, but I couldn't comment on their cooking. But if someone else, like a client, would say there is something wrong with the food, like, which could happen. Like, and I've had instances where I don't even understand what the client's telling me, but I have to somehow bring it back to the chef and be like, the client. Well, I think once, the perfect example was once, like, one of the waitresses came back and said, the fries aren't good enough, they're too potatoey. And I had no idea what that meant. Like, what is too potatoey? Like, does that mean you want it more cooked? Like, you want it more well done, the fries? Does it taste like a potato? Like, what do we want? I don't want to say it. I'll say it, whatever. I heated it up, like, just put it under that lamp and gave it back. And then it was perfect. The fries were excellent, but it was the same. So, like, just wanted to see what was some people, you know.
I mean, speaking of food, you spent 3 off seasons in the food capital of the world, you know, Bologna, Italy, and the best food country in the world. When did that opportunity come to the table? And I feel like that, if for most North Americans, if that was an opportunity, they jump at it. I haven't heard many in your situation, so how did that come about, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, so our owner in Montreal bought Bologna 10 years ago, and I would say maybe 7 years ago was the first time I went. They came during their off season. The goalie coach came, and their technical director as well came to Montreal just to visit our facility and all that. And then, like, we obviously worked closely together. Like, he was sharing ideas with us and our staff, and then he just liked what he saw from me, and then he brought me in right away in August for their preseason. So I stayed from August pretty much till the next preseason of MLS. So August to January, and then I came back, and then every off season I would continue to go. When our season ended, I'd go play with the Primavera and then train with the first team. What an experience, though. Like, food, culture, players, the level, the city, amazing. Like, that's where I feel like I gained a little bit more culture as well. Like, I used to only be like, to this day I still don't like coffee, and I went to like a place where coffee's huge. I would just do hot chocolate because it's not who I am. But then they would tell me, you can't come out with us if you have hot chocolate. They would invite me out, coffee breaks and all that. I'd order hot chocolate. They said, unacceptable. It's like cappuccino there after 12, unacceptable. Like, there was rules for coffee, like coffee dates, like with the team. Like, either you do this or you're not coming. So then I had to just suck it up and just drink coffee, even though I hated it.
Who were some of the biggest players that you passed through?
Over there, I would say probably would be like Italian players like Simone Verdi, played for the Italian national team a little bit, got sold to Napoli. Mattia Destro, Andrea Polli, played for Milan. You had Arnautovic, who's at Inter right now. And then coaches, they had like legendary coaches as well. I was there for Donadoni, Inzaghi, who would even like suit up and start shooting at one point, which is still like, I don't know, you're taking shots from Inzaghi and you're like, I saw highlights of this guy in the Champions League, like what's, you know. And then Mihalovic, who was the coach as well, before Thiago Motta, like just different quality, just more consistent, more clinical.
So you joined the Montreal Academy when you're 16 years old. At what point you kind of started to break into the first team and becoming a regular?
Yeah, I would say more 17, I joined the academy, and then I signed my professional contract at 19 years old. Did the jump from academy to USL, played some years there, and then they took away the USL team, and it was kind of like a limbo of everybody. No one really knew where they were going to go. Some guys went to Ottawa, some guys left completely, and then some guys stayed with the first team. And then I ended up signing there, and then I started going to Bologna and playing games like that. And then when I came back from the third stint, that's where I kind of started playing in Montreal.
Of the three names, Montreal Impact, Club Foot de Montreal, and CF Montreal, which is your favorite of the three? If you had to power rank those.
It'd have to be Montreal Impact first, CF Montreal second, Club de Foot, rightfully so, third.
It sounds a lot better when you say
Yes.
it than when I say it. I feel like if it was a Canadian-only league, I think that would stick
But
a little
that's
better.
why they try to go, from my understanding, with the lingo was like the French lingo, where like if you ask Larice, for example, they could say, like, we'll go play, well, in French, like, on va jouer au foot, like, we'll play football. That's like their slang. Because they try to put slang in the logo, but it just wasn't the move.
So obviously you got French, you got English. How's the Italian, how's the Greek?
Greek's good, fluent. Italian's worse. I've lost it. I can understand, I would say, 85% of what you're telling me. I could kind of get by, like if it's an emergency. And now, like, Spanish is Duolingo 47 days in a row.
There you go. That's not bad.
We're getting there. Like, I'm learning. What did I learn yesterday? Now I'm learning about carne and pescado, so fish and meat.
Have you tried anyone on the team to speak?
No, not yet. But I mean, like, I do say the simple things on the field. Like, if I know that Miguel's playing, or Juan or Claudio, like, more like defensively, like I could say, like, behind, left, right, step, or out, like, the basic stuff. But when I really need to explain something, that's where it gets hard. I'd have to call Diego or something. I'd say, Diego, can you just tell him?
So you're what, 6 years old, 7 years old when Greece wins the Euros, and probably in 2004. Is that like the highlight of your fandom?
I was in Greece too. Like, I remember, like, we were in Greece for a holiday, and I want to say I remember it like so much, but I remember like glimpses of it. I remember where we were. I remember like the crowd and everything. We were kids, so we were kind of sitting in the front. It was huge.
So if Greece and Canada are playing in the World Cup, let's say you're not on the squad, what's the fandom like?
It's a really tough one. I have to say Canada, because like, I have represented them and I have been in a World Cup with them, and like, I kind of owe it to them since like my youth was developed in Canada. Yeah, I would have tie.
0-0 in the group stage. All right, let's talk about the Canadian national team. You were with them in the World Cup in 2022. If you want to show your tattoo to the camera. I mean, tremendous honor to be in Qatar. There's a lot I want to ask you about it, but have you ever considered wearing sweatpants like Milan Borjan?
Never, no.
Did the team give him a hard time?
No.
He's too old?
He can do what he wants. It was at that point, I wouldn't. I feel like I have, well, even like here, like, I know that Max and Trey want me to wear the blue tights, like, for training, and there's just no way. Like, we have to look good on the field too, like, you can't be wearing black and blue, and then this doesn't work like that. So you can never, I'd rather go out with nothing than wearing the blue one. I already told him that. Like, today, Max really wanted to wear them. He told me, he's like, come on, please. Like, I said, no, I'm not wearing them.
So when you're in Qatar, did you go and explore it all? Did you get to experience the culture?
Yes, a little bit. Like, we usually had mornings off, and then the day after the game we train in the morning, and we have the rest of the day out because our families were there too. Just, like, even going to the mall, like, the malls were like, I've never seen a mall like that in my life. Like, they would say like $2 billion to build a mall, and like, you saw every store in the world. Like, the floors were so clean, like, you could eat off the floor. Excuse me, it was insane. There was the hotel that was like a U. I thought I had a conception of what money was. You have no idea what money is until like I saw what was going on there. Crazy.
Who was your roommate during the World Cup?
No roommate.
Just you? Wasn't your dad there with you as well?
Yeah, my dad and my cousin.
What was that experience like, and an experience with your dad?
Amazing. For him, I was so happy because he used to drive me to training, right? He used to drive me 6 a.m., wake up. He'd be there. He was my coach, head coach, like U13, 14, 15. For him, like, I'm sure it was a proud moment. Like, I can't really relate to I don't have a son, so I don't really know, but I could sense it, like seeing him, telling everybody, taking pictures. And there was days like I would tell him my schedule. I'd be like, hey, like I'm off from here to here. He'd be like, I can't. I have interviews. He had more interviews than me. I was like, what do you mean you have an interview? Like let's go have lunch. Let's go. No, I have CTV or I have TSN at 2 o'clock. He had them all lined up. I'm like, can we, I don't know, spend time together at the, no. He's like, I can't, I'm busy. Okay, no problem.
So you look back on the World Cup in 20, 25 years, obviously getting experience Qatar is pretty cool, but from the footballing side of things, what are you going to take away from it?
It just goes to show like what the next step is, like level-wise. You saw, like sharing the pitch with players that you watch on TV, play with on FIFA. Like I always take every opportunity I could to watch, especially the goalkeepers, like how they warmed up, how they played. Like first game we had Thibaut Courtois. Just watching his warm up, seeing what they do differently. Just the little details that you can't really get to see from TV and everything. It's very different. Even after the games, like I was really grateful that they were able to, like again, yes, at the time, like you're playing for Real Madrid, I was playing for Montreal. You would think that you're not really on the same level, but after the game, like everybody was speaking, we're all on the same pitch, and we would be speaking like as if we're all friends, and you could ask questions or just share stories or whatever the case may be, and everybody was just super humble, and I thought that was really cool, like to be able to talk to these players and as if like we're just all on the same page.
Yeah, world-class player you have on Canada is Alphonso Davies, of course. What's he like off the pitch?
He's funny. He's like a bit of a goof. He's like a kid. He's still a kid. He's obviously getting older now too, but he rose to stardom very early, and it's a bit hard. Like for some people, don't realize that when you move to such a big club and you have such a big responsibility at such a young age, you kind of lose that aspect of your childhood or your adolescent life, where you get to go out, or you just don't have to have these responsibilities, and you don't have maybe millions of people watching you. Yes, okay, you're doing something that is viewed as one of the best jobs in the world, but it takes a toll, and moving out there alone, and it's hard. But he's especially with the group, with the Canada guys, I feel like he's able to really let loose and be himself and not have to really be, on the ball all the time. And no, super guy, great guy, great player. He's only gonna get better too.
Juan David Mosquera faster than Alphonso Davies? No. Alphonso Davies is the fastest player you've seen?
Ever?
No. Is there a close
Live?
second?
I mean, like you see, like the guy in Colorado, Bambito, he's Canadian too. He hit like
I think
he hit a top speed. He was up. I didn't think he was able. He's from Quebec, from Montreal too. I didn't think he was able to move that fast. But live, I actually don't think. I think he could go faster. Mm-hmm. Like there's times where I think he just jogs, and then when he sees he kind of has to get there, maybe he'll like switch a gear. But I still think he has more gear. Like he's lightning.
There's so much conversation about grassroots soccer in the U.S., Portland especially, it's Soccer City, USA. How is coming up in the game in Canada different than grassroots here?
I feel it's a bit better now. Back then when I started, soccer wasn't a thing. It was more hockey. Like everybody had skates, had a stick. They were all playing hockey growing up. Yes, obviously there was, there was no professional academy. There was all just local clubs, and the academy, I believe, only started maybe 10 years ago, if I could be mistaken. So you didn't really have any other option we didn't even have a league. Like the CPL now is a thing, where before there was no professional league, so you really had to go overseas. European teams wouldn't take Canadian players because there's the international fee. You would just take a local kid from there, so it was much, much harder. Like you would rarely hear players going and being able to make a living out of soccer. I think our generation, like my age group, was the first one to start, and then you had the start of the CPL. You had the Canadian national team started getting better. And then they had obviously Montreal joining the MLS, Vancouver joining the MLS, Toronto was there before. Just brought it a little bit more, just shed a light on the talent that we have, because we've had great talent that just fell through the grapevines and not able to produce because we didn't have the the way to get them through to the top level. Where I know here, I've heard about a couple of issues here as well. I think it's a bit expensive here to play, like growing up, and it's not that bad in Canada. Like it could be pricey depending on like what level you get to, but I hear here it's a little bit more money driven. But I do feel like there's a lot of opportunity here, whether it's like private academies or MLS academies, and now that there's the U.S. men's national team has obviously been very successful over the last. Well, they've been successful, and they produce good talent. They're all playing in Europe. So I think it's just pushing players more and more to want to get to that level.
I asked you about playing at the World Cup. I think you said in a previous podcast that the coolest place you got to play was the Estadio Azteca. What was that like getting to play in just perhaps one of the top 5 most famous venues in the world?
It's just such an intimidating place, whether it's the fans, the heat, the altitude, the whistling that the fans, every time the goalie has the ball, they're yelling, the bad things they say too. You know, it's what you play for, right? It's what we as kids dream of, and these are the moments you want to do, and there's nothing better than going there and getting a result or even beating, whether it's Mexico or in Champions League and playing Club America or whoever else. I think, Cruz Azul, do they play there? Maybe, I don't know, I could be mistaken, but there's another team that plays there.
Let's talk about some James Pantemis saves. 2018 All-State Youth Canadian National Team Save of the Year. Do you remember the save? You had a voice.
Against Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, against Japan.
You had a voiceover for it. I was deep on YouTube. I think it has like 200 views, but...
There we go, 200 people that showed support. Appreciate it.
2022, a little bit higher stakes. You were nominated for MLS Save of the Year. Do you remember that one?
No. Which one was that?
So it was against Houston.
Oh, with my foot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
That one was sick.
I don't know how I saved that. That was just... It's funny because I wish like you guys could somehow, when it's not possible, but to just see what I think in those moments. Like there's like split seconds where I talk to myself, but it happens so fast. Like I can maybe say 30 things in like half a second. And I remember that save because I went right because the ball was coming right, and I think it was Camacho at the time deflected it, and in my mind I said, I can't catch a break because I knew it was just going to go in. I'm like, Hero was diving right, can't catch a break. What am I going to do? Let me just stick my foot out and hope for the best. And I just nicked like my big toe. Couldn't, and you have to play it off like you just did it on purpose. I said, yeah, no problem.
So you're talking to yourself as the shot's coming. After you make a save of that quality, what are you telling yourself after?
Shit, like wow. And I'm waiting for the replay to see it again. Sometimes I'm just like, it's so hard because like you want to like have a good moment and like celebrate, but then there's a corner happening right away, so you don't even have time to celebrate. Where like players, they score, they have their moment. Sometimes if you're in, you can't really have your moment. And I've been the type of guy where if I make a big save, I'm very calm. Like I don't really necessarily celebrate or show that much emotion because I've always had this mentality where you can make a huge save, goes for a corner, and the corner comes in goal. So you just celebrate for what? Like now you look stupid. That's how I thought about it. But no, I remember making that save, and I think Kamal was there too at the time. Like I think he was the one that came to me first, and I don't remember what he said. He probably said something like, "What the hell was that?" Or that was a hard game in Houston. It was the worst games.
You guys won that game 3-2.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So I'll unfortunately go to the other end of it. When you give up a screamer, what are you telling yourself after that? Are you saying fair play?
Sometimes I say to myself, like, I just can't be like, you scored that. Like it depends on who the player is. Like if it's like if it's a DP, if it's a big time player, you're like, okay, like you know, you're quality. But if it's like the Columbus goal, the guys. And like I even spoke to him after the game. Like I know him a bit, but I know like more Camacho because I play with Montreal and he's French, Morera. And we were speaking and they're all telling him like, oh, like never are you gonna hit something like that in your life. And like knowing that he just like was so lucky and he got the most perfect thing off. And I have to be in the receiving end of it. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like on every social media thing is goal. And I just, you know, I'm like, okay, well, what are you gonna do?
Is it hard for you to watch?
No, I mean, like, because I know I can't really do anything about it, you know? Like, it's more hard to watch, like, if you make a mistake and they post a mistake, then it's like skip or mute or just don't open the app for a couple days, and then we go from there.
I want to get some more stories out of you from your Montreal days. It had been kind of like Groundhog's Day in 2021, where are you in a hotel in Miami every single day during that first COVID season because of the Canadian administration, you couldn't play games at home.
Yeah.
So you were playing at Inter Miami Stadium before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool.
What was that like?
It was, I don't know, a lot of people say they didn't like it. I had a great time. Granted, like, I don't have like a wife or kids or anything like that, so yes, it was obviously hard not to see your family, but it was what the world was at that point. Like, you couldn't really travel. Players had the opportunity to fly in their kids and family, so they kind of, were at least able to have them there. I mean, for me, it was training, gym, beach from 1 to 7. And we were getting results, so it's not like we were doing something wrong. Like, it was under the umbrella, or maybe you got your time. I was so dark that whole year. Like, I remember going into national team too. Everybody would they make fun of me. They'd be like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it looks like you're on vacation 24/7. Like, how dark you are. I was like golden dark. But we were getting results, and then we came home, and then that's where we went down. That's what it was. The Miami Heat. Because we play games, and it's so like it's the same thing if you go to Houston and play in the summer. When you're coming to Florida and playing in the summer, it's so humid. It's so. But we were used to it, training in it, and people would just die.
You prefer Miami or Houston summer over to Montreal winters?
Oh,
playing
100%.
a game, I'm saying on the pitch.
100%. I'd rather sweat than freeze. 100%. Like, we did the Edmonton one, where we played Mexico with Canada, and it was minus 15. How do you can't do anything. I'd rather have a water break than wear like the heat pads under my gloves. No. So that was the worst experience of my life.
When you're playing that game in minus 15 in Edmonton, and you're facing Mexico, you said, right? Is that kind of a thing where you're like, we know we've won this already?
Oh, we won before the game came out, before the game started. Like, it was, they showed up with pants, winter coats, hats, gloves for warm-up, and you had Max, who came out in a t-shirt. And I was like, we won. It's over. And we had Alistair Johnson played the game in a t-shirt. Mind you, like, sure, Max, like, he came on a t-shirt, but like, I remember 5 minutes in the warm-up, he looked at me, he's like, what a mistake. What a mistake I just made. But our coach at the time was so big on like psychological warfare that if he didn't care if we were cold, like, he said, no, you guys are going out. Like, I don't want anyone wearing a jacket. I don't want anyone wearing, like, wear your gloves, wear your hat. You're going out like looking like we're ready to play this. And Mexico came out looking like they were going snowboarding. And then that was it. Yeah.
I've heard he's pretty intense, but with Montreal, you've got Thierry Henry there. Mm-hmm. What ages were you when he was there, and how did he help out your game?
So he came during when like COVID first started. So that was, when was that, 4 years ago? When you guys won?
2020.
When Portland won the MLS is back.
Yeah.
Was it 2020? So that was 4 years ago. I was 23. He was the best player on the team. Like, straight up the best player on the team.
How old was he?
40, probably 39, 40. And he would take shots on me. Like, he would sometimes like he'd put a ball down, you'd say, James, 2 shots. And he would just not even back up. He would stay like plant-footed, circle around, whip it. I'm just looking. And I'm like, what? Like, what? That's what amazes me when you see players like that. Like, how can it get better? Like, how is Messi better? How is Ronaldo better? Like, how? But no, he helped me a lot in terms of, I think that was the year as well, or maybe it was the year before, where the rule changed in soccer, where you could have defenders in the box on goal kicks. And obviously, growing up as a goalie, we never really worked on playing out of the back. It was, if you have pressure, you're kicking it long. Simple, like no risk, no nothing. And he really wanted to put emphasis on playing out of the back, and he was very adamant on, I'd rather you lose the ball than kick it. Like, I'll be the first one to say in the media, I want him to play like that. I don't care if we lose it. And it was a bit of a adjustment for me at the beginning because, like I said, we would kick it all the time and feel pressure at kick. And in preseason, that's what I would do. Like, the striker would press me, I'd kick it out, and he would tell me, if you do that one more time, you're not training. He's like, lose the ball. I'd rather you lose it in the box than you kick it. And then and then you'd slowly realize if people would, granted everybody comes and gives you an option, but you'd realize you have more time than you think. They need to help you, but you have more time than you think. And that's what he instilled in me, and I take it to this day. I think that's one of my biggest strengths in terms of building out, like as a goalie. I think I'm very calm under pressure from the striker.
What do you remember about current Timbers, Eric Miller, and Max Crépeau from your time in Montreal?
Well, Max, I've known, I would say I knew more than Eric, because obviously we grew up this thing called the National Training Center. We were both a part of. We had the same goalie coach. U14, U15. We went to the provincials. Well, he was older, obviously. Like we did our own age group, so we knew of each other, trained together, and then USL. Like back when I was 17, 18, he was playing there as well. Like we did trips together. So I think I've known Max 10 years now. We were a bit closer than me and Eric Miller, for example, because Eric just got drafted and I was still in the academy, training with the first team. So I don't want to say Eric didn't view me as a player, but no, Eric was just the way he is now. Just such a great guy, such a good professional, and no, we had good times together too. But it's funny how such a full circle this league is, or how life works sometimes. Where I would have never thought that I'd be able to play with these guys again, or just share like every day. Like, and now it's different too. Like we're all older, we have more experience and everything. Like I don't think I could have bossed Eric around back then. Like yes, he was just drafted. He was a rookie as well, but it's a bit different now. That like we could have a genuine conversation about, well, I want you here, or why do we do this, or maybe we should do this a little bit better, and like better for the team, better for the relationship.
We talked about #NoFluff at the start of the podcast. Max Crépeau and Kamal Miller are self-proclaimed pretty big trash talkers. Are you?
Depends. I would say more like subtle. Like I'll throw like subtle jabs that could hurt. Like it's not like I'm not gonna make a public thing about it. Like I could just like check my shoulder and whisper something like to make sure you heard, and I'll get deep, depending on if I know like a backstory on a certain person. But no, I feel like I'm much more calmer, like in terms of, unless there's something that happens to like one of my teammates, then like for sure we're going in, because I think that was like, I know like during the national team run, like to make the qualifying, like if I wasn't playing or we were on the sideline, we knew our roles, and like I was a bit of an instigator. That was my role. So whenever there was a fight, I'd be the first one that was there, like ready to not swing, but if we needed to be there. Like I remember even the Mexico game when we played in Edmonton, Milan played and me and Max were on the bench, and then there was a big fight at the end of the game, and then their backup goalie went to Milan right after the game. I think he hit him with his glove, and he didn't see, and I pushed Max. I said, look, like where, and then we ran. I think it was a 30-yard sprint. He had no idea we were coming, and we both like clotheslined him. And then it was a good moment.
Do you have a favorite altercation in MLS?
I had one with, I think it was against Atlanta, when Barco and Joseph Martinez were there. I think Victor Wanyama and Martinez got a red. I had Barco like this, and he was pushing, and I think I went to him like this because he was short. Like I looked down, and it went something like that. Probably that, and then some Toronto ones, like Toronto Montreal derbies, where like I know the guys, but I'll just be like, "What are you doing?" Like I know you. Like what are you trying to do here? But nothing crazy.
All right, let's get to this offseason. You joined the Portland Timbers, free agency for the first time in your life. Your first 26 years are in Montreal. Yeah. Was it a difficult decision once Portland was on the table? Was it an easy one?
I don't think it was difficult because, I mean, not to hide, I did have other options that we were exploring, and I just think overall it made sense for what I needed and what they presented to me in terms of the plan, whether it was Ned or Phil, like just going over the whole, what we wanted to do moving forward, where we wanted the club to be compared to previous years. Obviously, I know Portland throughout the years. I'm watching from afar a team that's competing for titles, a team that's competing to win. And obviously the last couple of years have not reflected that, and I know that they wanted to bring it back to what the standard was, and obviously I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of the journey to, like, there's so many trophies to win. Obviously, like, the U.S. Open's a bit different now because, like, they changed the rules, but Leagues Cup now, MLS Cup, and then just pushing the Champions League as well, and I think that's where we want to be as a club, and I know that the fans want to be there too, and that kind of sold me of just wanting to win compared to sometimes our objective in Montreal were just making the playoffs.
Did Kamal come because you came, or the other way around?
That's a good. I mean, I signed before him, so I'll stick with it and say he came because he saw me sign. We'll say that.
I know you didn't know too many faces. You know Kamal, Eric, Max, of course, but of all the new, who did you make the best first impression with, and who did you make the worst first impression with?
Best? I don't know, it's tough. I feel like because what I did notice at the beginning when I first signed here, I don't think a lot of people knew who I was, considering I was in the East, and obviously we don't really play against each other much, and I'm a goalie, so it's a bit different. It's not like I'm scoring goals every week. So I feel like I kind of had to earn a little bit of respect on the field, and I feel like as training's gone, like especially with like the South American guys, like I started like wanting to play, like we said before, like I want the ball, like I want to play, and seeing like me like being able to take control of that, and then performances in preseason, and then the first game of the year that I played, I think I gained like more respect for my teammates and that aspect. That just got me closer with everybody as well. But if I had to pick one, tough. I kind of knew Zach before, not like that well. Maybe Eric Williamson, even though like we didn't know each other, and I feel like we've known each other now, 4 months, but it feels like years, kind of thing. I would say I get along with him the most, considering I didn't know who he was at all. Well, I knew who he was, but personally.
The worst first impression?
I can't say. I don't know. I won't say.
You don't have to say the player, but what happened?
An altercation on the field that I didn't like.
It happens.
And as a goalie, we have this crazy side that if something like that happens, it's on. Like next ball, I'm coming. Like I'm leaving a leg up, or I'm going straight for. I'm not even going for the ball.
Is every goalie a little bit crazy?
Oh, you have to be. You can't be normal to be a goalie. I would say like I'm on the more normal side of it, but like if I get to that point, there's definitely like a weird side. You have to be weird. Like no one wants to throw their face around the ball, like a normal person. Let's be honest. And you have to get up for the rebound after you take it to the face or the balls or whatever. So you're not well.
How many balls have you taken to the face? Like just
I'm trying to think this preseason how bad it's been. I don't think it's been that bad. Maybe 2. I got more in the balls. For some reason, Memo had a magnet in preseason, and I just kept hammering me there. Oh no, I got one actually, that's not true. In the game, what was it? Philadelphia, I got 2 in the face. The first one was a bad one. The second one was like kind of like skimmed off the top of my head, but the first one was bad. I was bleeding, and it was like, oh.
Yeah, Timbers fans know Leighton Woodrell for obvious reasons. I know Phil Neville, the head coach, but what's Memo like? I know he's kind of a crazy guy.
He's amazing. He's so funny. Like he's surprising me every day. Like sometimes I feel like I've never laughed so much in my life in training. Like sometimes I want to be serious, but he gets me. Like even today we had training and I was like he kicked the ball and he said something while he kicked. I forget what he said exactly, but I just started laughing and I dropped it. And and then he's laughing, I'm laughing, we're all laughing. And I'm like, well, I also want to catch the ball, like there's that side of it too. But no, he's a great guy, like an amazing person, obviously like a ton of experience, he's been here for such a long time. No, we have a great group, super group, and he makes it like even more enjoyable to come in and work.
James, you got a lot of time left this season, a lot of time left in your career, but once the soccer side of things are eventually over, what do you want to do after your playing career?
Good question. I don't know. Hopefully nothing. No, we can't not do nothing. I want to start. I did do a little bit like last year, like goalkeeping camps in Montreal, and I feel like when I have more time, obviously like post-career, like I want to do something more proper, like year-round. And then hopefully, like with my like other investments, like in real estate, like I get to a point where they just kind of take care of themselves, and I could whatever just manage them and do that on the side, do the coaching, and then we'll see if the restaurant needs me at all or not. But hopefully, I don't need to be in an office, or hopefully, I wouldn't coach. Like that's not me. I can't watch film for week in, week out. I can't do that. I feel like my body, I couldn't kick the ball that much either. My body's gonna be dead. I don't know how Memo does it. Just to kick every day, every day, every day. But no, I would just coaching kids, stuff like that, and then manage properties, and then we have more restaurants and some more people to give some warmed up fries to, and that's it.
No restaurant in Portland yet?
No. That to open here?
Yeah. You could be the chef. You're working on it.
No, not chef. Definitely not. I could definitely manage, but I don't know. It's coming. I think my uncle wants to do one in Florida first, and then now that I'm like in the process of like getting a green card and everything, slowly becoming American, so it's gonna be an easier process to do compared to just being an international. So using my, Americanness to open up.
Crepeau got to go to Barbados for his green card. Where do you get to go?
Montreal. I didn't get the luxury to go on the beach. So that was a crazy thing too, anyways, for him. But I think mine's gonna be in Montreal. At least I gotta go home.
Yeah, you had enough time in Miami in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, it's never enough. Never enough. It's the beach. That's my ideal vacation. Just sit there, do nothing, have good food, and that's it.
Well, James, good luck the rest of the season. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you.